He was my son. He was stillborn, but he was stillborn. Now don't act like you don't want to hear what I got to say. Blah, blah, blah. No, for real, for real. I digress. It's exciting. Hello, you guys, and welcome to Reviews with Whitney D. I'm Whitney D. Let's get into it, shall we? Hey, so, this is story time with Whitney D. Okay, so I'm trying to, as I nervously brush my hair, I'm trying to get more into the personable of me. And so I wanted to indulge on story time. This particular story time is going to be a little serious, but you guys know me by now. You know my character. I'm very goofy. I'm very straight to the point. And I love life. If you have not gotten that from any of these silly, goofy videos, then I'm not doing my job, but I digress. Okay, so I wanted to get a little more personal in regards to myself. I think I've shared that I am on my second marriage, and I have kids. But before I had my beautiful babies, there was Carlton. Okay, and so this story is about Carlton. Okay. I'm wanting to share my story to hopefully inspire somebody, okay? And preferably women of loss who have lost children. And here's my story. So I was 16 years old, okay? And I had just came back from a weekend of thrills with my older boyfriend. And this came from lying to my mother and saying that I was going off to a friend's house for a sleepover, okay? And so went and came home from this experience, and time went on as normal. I want to say probably roughly 2 or 3 months after this experience, you know, I was at school, or you don't know, but I was at school, and I'm sorry, okay, but I still to this day, I love cafeteria food. Like, do y'all remember the little square pizzas? You know, they start making them out of triangles, but the square pieces with the corn on the side and the chocolate milk. Ooh, but I digress. Anyways, I loved me some cafeteria food, okay? And I found myself walking into the cafeteria and being disgusted by the smell. Mind you, I'm 16 at this time, so I'm not taking into consideration you have a whole situation going on that's brewing. But walked in, I was like, oh, this stinks. I don't want any of this food, but I was hungry, so I tried to find something to eat. Time went on again, okay? And so I ran track for a good amount of my life. I ran track. And I remember going to athletics, and I couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up. I was tired all the time, and then I was getting beat by some of the slow people on the team. I just didn't understand. So decided to, you know, figure things out. Didn't know what was going on, didn't understand, because also I didn't reach and get a pad or tampon at that time. So I didn't get my cycle. And so I was like talking to my best friend, Marquita Hawthorne. Shouts out Marquita Hawthorne, I love you. We are still friends to this day. Almost 20 years later? But anywho, so we were walking home, and she was like, you need to get a pregnancy test. And I was like, no, like, girl, please, you know. And so we were walking home, and we decided to stop into a dollar store. And she was like, girl, get you one of these pregnancy tests at the dollar store so, people won't look at you suspect. In the back of my mind, I'm like, this is even better because it won't work because it's a dollar store test. It's dollar store test. Come on now. So, thing is that we got the test. I got 2, baby. I spent $214, okay? Because I was like, let me just be sure. She got her one too because she was just like, we were sexually active then. So she was like, let me just see. I was like, girl. But she got one too. Got to the house and I took the test. I took both of them actually. I got the little cup and I put my urine in it and I squeezed some of it in both. We left out of the restroom and let it do its magic. While that was going on, we were just talking and I'm just bugging out because I'm 16. And I'm just like, this cannot be my life. I have stuff that I got going on that I've, envisioned for myself, okay? So, the time was up. We proceeded to go into the restroom, and there my life changed. There were 2 lines, actually 4 lines. Both of the pregnancy tests were positive. I didn't know what to do with my life at that moment. Marquita was excited for me. It's exciting. It wasn't exciting for me, okay? I didn't know what was going on. Mind you, 16 at this time, I'm just like, what just happened? How did this happen? How did this happen? What does this mean? What is going on? She left. And I just kind of went on with my life after that for a few days while I got myself together and figured out exactly how I'm going to present this to my mom. Mind you, she was singly raising me at this time. My father was around, but he wasn't in the home. My siblings were pretty much out the house. And my older sister would ping in from time to time, okay? So I just went on and, I think it was probably about a week or 2. I said, okay, I'm going to tell my mom. And so I tried to scope things out for the most part. And so I noticed one particular day, she came in and she was happy. She was happy. I was like, okay, this is going to be the time. I'm going to tell my mom I'm pregnant. And so I went into her room. Well, I actually knocked on the door and she let me in. So I went into the room. I sit on her bed. And mind y'all, back in the day, I don't know if they still exist now. I say back in the day, but how many of y'all remember the big beds your parents had and they had the big pillars, the 4 pillars? I used to take the ball off the top of them and play with it or whatever. But anyways, so I was sitting on the bed to where I was looking at her while she was in the restroom. And she was in the restroom and she was just singing and she was just smiling. I'm just leaning on the front part of her bed on the headboard. And I'm just looking at her and I just kind of zoned out and she was like, what's wrong, baby? And I was like, I need to talk to you. And she was like, what's wrong, And I was like, I just really need to talk to you. And so she was like, okay. And so she comes out the restroom. She's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I got something I need to talk to you about. She was like, you pregnant? And I looked at her and I was like, yes. And I start bawling and she just looks at me and she says, no. Y'all, I know this is not funny. It's funny now. We laugh about it now. She drops to the ground, y'all, and she gets on her hands and knees. And she was like, no, you pregnant? No. And she's like scratching across the floor. It's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. And I was just looking at her a little bit and forth, and I'm just like, oh my God. And she was like, you're not keeping it, you're not keeping it. I agree. I was like, here, sister, here. I didn't know what that meant though. I didn't know what experience I was about to go through, but I was like, yeah, hey, let's get this rolling, And so, you know, she was like, get out, I need a moment, I need a moment. So I get out, go to her room. I then hear her get on the phone with my older sister, and she's telling my older sister, you know, what's going on or whatever. And she was like, she's not keeping it. You know, everybody, I'm the baby, everybody had all these aspirations and dreams for me, you know, and I get it, you know. And so then I want to say a few minutes later, my sister comes over, and she was like, no, you're not aborting this baby. You're going to keep this baby. You know, you're going to keep this baby. And you're going to see that it's not easy. At this time, my sister had, I want to say, 2 children at this time. And so she was like, you're going to see it's not easy. You know, and I was just like, okay, you know. And so she was like, she went in there and she went and talked to my mom and, you know, made her feel okay or whatever. Not better, but okay about the situation. And she was just like, you know, how far are you? And I was like, I don't know. You know, I just found out. And she was like, you probably are earlier along, like probably 2 or 3 months or whatever. And, you know, she was like, well, we need to figure out, like, you know, getting you to the doctor and all that stuff like that. You're gonna have a baby, you know. And she was just like, I did not want this for my little sister, but, you know, it is what it is, you know. And so my life just changed after that moment. And so time went on. I went and got my doctors and things like that. And so I just grew and grew and grew. So here it is. I am getting prepared for my baby shower. I got that out the way. I want to say a week or 2 after that. I was 32 weeks by this time. So I was 8 months, getting a little bit bigger. And I go to the mall with my older cousin, and we're looking for stuff just to you know, get me ready for the hospital or what have you. So we're just looking at baby stuff or whatever. And so I was like, I'm tired, my back is hurting, and I was already having breasting Hicks contractions, mind you, but I was just like, okay, well, you know, this is normal, I'm getting further along. So she takes me back to the house, and I tell my mom, you know, and she was like, you know, put your feet up, relax, you know, you're 8 months pregnant, you know, this is normal. And I was 16 at the time. I'm a little woman now, but I was even smaller then, you know, can you imagine? And so I'm big as a house, you know. And so I put my feet up, propped my feet up, and, you know, that was pretty much it. Mind you, earlier that day, however, because I'm leaving out information, earlier that day I went to the doctors, and it took them 10 minutes to find my son's heartbeat. I mean, when they found it, it was kind of faint. So they told me to, you know, go home and rest. It's kind of normal. He doesn't have much room in there, just rest. And then I went up and went to the mall. I was 16, y'all. I was 16. I didn't think anything was going on. So they actually, because of that, scheduled me they scheduled me a sonogram at that point in time the following week, just to monitor the baby, you know. And now, since I was getting closer, it was going to be more frequent. So time went on, days went on, life went on. Wednesday comes up, and I go to my appointment, my sonogram appointment, right? I already knew it was a boy, had my baby shower and things of that nature. So I am now at the sonogram tech, and I'm laying down, and she's, you know, doing a little Doppler and everything, and she freezes. And I was just like, is everything okay? And she was like, let me check something. And she, you know, checks again. She was like, when the last time you felt the baby move? I said, I just felt them earlier today, you know? And she proceeded to keep going in regards to it, and she was just like, okay, so get up. And I got up, and so she was like, we gotta get you to labor and delivery. And so I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm about to have my baby. Okay, great, okay, whatever. And I was like, well, what's going on? She was like, they're gonna tell you over there But yeah, go ahead and get up, and someone will be in the room to explain everything to you. And I was like, oh, okay. So I get up, and I see the lady as she's talking to the doctor outside, and so she looked like she had this look of sadness over her face. And I was just like, okay. So I go to the phone, the hospital phone, and I call my mom, and I'm like, Mom, can you please come up here? I don't think something is right, but I'm about to have my baby. They're sending me off to labor and delivery. And she was like, okay, all right, I'm on my way. So then I'm hanging up the phone, and I see the nurse lady that did the, sonogram leaving out the hospital, and she looked saddened. Okay, she looked sad, and I was just watching her leave out. And so my mom comes, and they put me in the room, and they explained to us that my son was dead. And I was just like, no, that's not true. That's not, no, I just felt him. What I was describing to be movements was the contractions that I was having, moving his lifeless body around in my stomach. And my body was actually trying to get him out, and that's why I was contracting. And so that was very devastating. So they proceeded to induce me. And because from that Friday when he was alive, and they did the not sonogram, but the Doppler reading, to listen to his heart that Friday, and it was real faint. I should have been induced in, okay, but I was not. And so from Friday to that Wednesday, somewhere in between there, he died. And so they were frantically trying to induce me and get him out of me. And so they did. 12:38 that next morning, I gave birth to Carlton Mack King Jr. He was a junior to his father, Carlton Sr. And and that really, as a teenager, really wrecked my life. I didn't know exactly what was about to happen with my life, and what that meant for me. It's already hard for a grown woman to go through that, but as a 17-year-old, I didn't understand, I wasn't going home with anything. And mind you, I was induced. I didn't have any medicines because I wanted to experience that birth the same way as if he was living. So I didn't get any kind of interventions in regards to masking any pain or anything like that. So I experienced all the pain full-fledged. And he changed my life because I experienced him, but I didn't experience him. And so my life changed after that. I really went through a good deal of depression. After that, I became very promiscuous, just to be quite frank and honest with you and transparent, because I just was really, to be honest with you, trying to look up, if you will, to get pregnant again, and it never happened because God had other plans for me. But I just went downhill after that because I just didn't understand why God was doing this to me in such a very young age, and I really didn't have a relationship with God at that point in time, and definitely at this point in time, you took my baby, no, I'm done with you. So time went on, and and after that, I just didn't get pregnant again. I actually experienced my second loss in my first marriage. I had a miscarriage at 6 weeks, so it was just a very damaging experience. And so I just believed that the doctors were right, because they told me that, different reasons why I had cysts on my ovaries, the way my uterus was tilted, just a lot of stuff in regards to the cause that I was going to have a hard time of being pregnant and keeping a pregnancy. So 5 years later after that, well, actually not 5 years, I want to say 3 years after going through that experience of loss with my miscarriage, I get blessed with my daughter Demi, and that was my rainbow baby. And if you guys aren't aware of what a rainbow baby is, it's a baby that you get after you've lost. And I had 2 on my belt, you know. And so the thing is that I was 32 weeks with her, and I was just like, okay, Jesus, you know. So, oh, okay, she's still there, okay. Up until having her, I was kind of like, you know, and they took her a week early. She actually was a Valentine's baby. It was supposed to be, but they were nervous about me losing her with my experience. So they induced me, and I had her February 8th. And she was perfect. She was fine. She's 4 years old, going on 45. Okay. And then after that, 2 years later, 2 going on 3 years later, we get blessed with my son, Denim. So it's Demi and Denim, and they are my blessings, okay? And I thank God for my husband, because I shared my story with him, and he was just like, don't believe what the doctors tell you. You can get pregnant, you know, and he already had a son prior to, you know, and so I kept believing in that, and he did the deed, all right, twice. That was my story, but here's my word of inspiration. And I say this with a happy heart, no tears in my eyes, because that chapter in that journey, it has closed for me, and God has allowed me to move on and experience joy in my life, and you will too. You are in this world, you're not of it, so you cannot go by what man thinks, okay? If God promised you something, you gotta believe and trust that he's gonna see it through, like, period, okay? And to be honest with you, I wasn't quite sure, you know, what the outcome of my pregnancies with my now husband was going to be. You know, I had so much loss, and I expected it to be, and I really thought that rightfully so, I deserved it. You know, we tend to think that we deserve bad things that happen to us in our life, and sometimes it's unfortunate. But the thing is this, no, God did not take my baby or my babies, but he has them. It was the work of the enemy. And no, this ain't no conspiracy theory. I don't got my spidey senses aren't tingling. But I just have that faith, and I believe, and I know the works of the enemy. And the thing is that he was trying to do that to get me down on God, to not have me believe, and not only that, just to give up on myself and the capabilities in which that God was gonna make happen, you know. And I didn't. I never stopped believing. I always had that yearning, that urge to be a mother, even if it was just to children that wasn't mine, you know. And so what it was, God was just getting me mature and getting me ready to go through all of this mothering that I'm going through. And it has been interesting, to say the least. So don't you give up, don't you get discouraged. And the reason why I'm sharing my story is because people want to sit here and paint pictures and let you see, but they don't want to let you know what all they went through to get to where they're at. Well, I will, because I want to let you know that everything that glitter ain't gold, and it's not, you know, it's not a hard thing for you to obtain it. So that's why I never be jealous or envious of the next person, because you don't know what they went through to get it, and if you heard, you probably wouldn't want it after a while, you know. Or you probably hear it and be like, wow, I went through that too. Okay, I can do this, and you can do this. And all things, acknowledge God, and he will direct your path. And you can do all things through Christ, he that strengthens you. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world, okay? And know that anything that the enemy meant for bad, God would most definitely turn around for good. Those lost children and opportunities in my life, God thought it was going to be bad in my life, but I'm able to share it with you, and uplift you. So thank you. This has been Story Time with Whitney D, and I hope that my story was able to inspire you. If it did, or if you have a story of your own, whether it be lost or an experience of a rainbow baby, please leave it down in the comments below. And while you're there, please take out the time to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and so you'll be in the know when I know. Do not forget to click that notification bell. You can ring my bell, ring my bell, ring, ring, ring-a-ling-a-ling, ring. Just want to know that you are here, and that's a good indication to be able to know when I upload every time I upload. Thank you so very much. This has been Reviews with Whitney D. I'm Whitney D. Bye. Now don't act like you don't want to hear what I got to say. I digress. It's exciting.